Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream. I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration from freedom of the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American, in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. The momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been shared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end a long night of captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of Negroes still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on the lonely island of poverty in the midst of vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languish in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we have come here today to dramatize an shameful condition. In a sense, we came to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well the white men, would be granted the unalienable rights of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. It's obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as the citizens of color are concerned, instead honoring this scared obligation. America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check has come marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. So, we have come to cash this check. A check will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also to this a hollow spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage the luxury of calling of or to take the tranquilizing drug of barbarism. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate the valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of Negroes' legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hoped that the Negro needed to blow off steam and now be content will have a rude awakening of the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest of nor in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundation of our nation until the bright of day of justice emerge. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on warm threshold which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining a rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not sake of satisfy forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creative protest or degenerated into physical violence again and again. We must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physicality force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people, of many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny, and they have come to realize that their freedom is bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. As we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotes of civil rights, when will you satisfy? We can be never satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable honors of police. We cannot never be satisfied as long as our body heavy with the fatigue of travel cannot gain lodging in the motels or the highways in the hotels of cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by sign state for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro is in Mississippi cannot vote. A Negro in New York believes there's nothing to which to vote. No, no, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I'm not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Of you have come fresh from narrow jail cell. Some of you have come from areas where our quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and struggled by the winds of police. You have been veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to the South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to slum and ghettos for our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can really be changed. Let us not allow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day, on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of farmer slaves and the sons of farmer slaves owner will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream today that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering in the heat of operations, will be transformed into oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama will its victus Roxas with its governor having his lips dripping in the words of interposition, that one day, right down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with the little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, and rough places will be made plain, and crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of Lord shall be revealed, and flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I will go back to the south with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jangling discord of our nation into the beautiful symphony of brotherhood. This will be the faith will be able to be work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. There will be the day when of God's children will be able to sing the new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my father dead, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of the new hemisphere. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening allegiance of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slope of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank you, mighty God, we are free at last.